Hi everyone, we're in the first topic of our new unit, and that's Unit 7a. And we're going to talk about exponential expressions. Exponential expressions are just a simplified way to express repeated multiplication. Repeated multiplication just means multiplying by the same number repeatedly over and over again. Alright, so here is what an exponential expression looks like. In this exponential expression, we have the number 5. 5 is called the base, and it's raised to an exponent. An exponent is just a smaller number written slightly above the other number. 3 in this case is the exponent. Alright, and what 5 to the third power, or 5 cubed, means is it means, over here is the explanation, it means 5 to the cubed means 5 multiplied by itself 1, 2, 3 times. And if you actually do that math, you do 5 times 5 and get 25. Multiply again by 5 and you get the answer, 125. So rather than writing 5 times 5 times 5, we would just write 5 cubed. So that's what it means by a simplified way of writing that. Alright, so the last thing we're going to talk about before we do some examples is what it means to have a simplified expression. So in a simplified expression, each base can occur only one time. Remember, the base is the number raised to an exponent. So if you have a base of, say, x in this example, the x only occurs one time. There's no other x's anywhere else. Also, there are no parentheses, right? And also there are no zero or negative exponents. So we'll talk about that a little later in this unit, but that's another example of a simplified expression. So over here is just in general what a simplified expression looks like. This right here, I'm going to say that that's a coefficient. We know what a coefficient means. It's a number in front of a variable. So you may have a coefficient, and then you have bases, and they're all raised to a power. Alright, so this is the goal of what we want our simplified expressions to look like. Okay, so moving on to our first example. What I want you guys to do when you see an example, this is not simplified. I can tell right away because there's an x here and an x here. So that's not a good thing. So when I simplify, I'm first going to scan and look for any coefficients, and I see one right here, just a 3. And so I'm going to put the 3 out front. And there's no other numbers here that are multiplied by 3, so 3 stands by itself. Then I'm going to think about my x's. I have an x squared here and an x here. I'm going to rewrite those x's like this. X squared means x times x, right? And then I have one more x here, so I'm going to put it right there. Alright, then I'm going to move on to my y's, right? My y's, I have y cubed. That means y times y times y. And no more y's. Lastly, my z's. Z squared means z, z. So I rewrote all of this like this, so it's really easy to see how to simplify our expression. To simplify our expression, I'll leave the 3 alone. I'll count how many x's I have. 1, 2, 3. That's x cubed. Then the y's. 1, 2, 3. That's y cubed. And then 2 z's. That's z squared. I know this is simplified because x only occurs once. Y only occurs once, z only occurs once, and any coefficients I have are out front. Alright, the next problem I'm first going to scan and look for coefficients, and I see one right here, 5. And I also see one right here, 2. I'm going to put both of those out front. I'm going to write them like this, 5, and then multiplied by 2. Now I'm going to move on to my other letters. So here I have an a squared. I'm going to write it like this, a times a, check. And I'm going to look for other a's. Here's another a squared, a times a. Okay. Now moving on to b's. Here's a b, just one b, so I'll write times b. Here's b cubed, b times b times b. No more b's. Lastly, I have a c, so I'll write times c. Alright, so to write our final answer, remember all of these numbers, if we look at our original, are multiplied by each other. So I'm going to do this 5 times 2 and write my answer right here. That's 10. And then I have 1, 2, 3, 4 a's, a to the 4th, 1, 2, 3, 4 b's, b to the 4th, and then 1 c, C. You don't have to put an exponent of 1 here, because if there's no exponent, we assume there's only one copy. All right, two more left. Okay, so first I'm going to scan and look for coefficients, right? I see something here, 6 squared. I also see one here, a 2. So I'm going to write those first. 6 squared times 2. And then I'm going to scan and look for my letters. So I have an x to the 4th, 1, 2, 3, 4, and an x squared, 1, 2. Check, check. All right, and then I have z cubed, 1, 2, 3, and then one more z, 4. There's no other letters or numbers here. I've taken care of all of them, so I'm ready to simplify my expression. All right, when I simplify this expression, I have to think about first, I have a 6 squared here. 6 squared is 36. 6 squared is 6 times 6. So really this problem I'm doing is 6 squared, or 36, times 2. And to do that math, we'll get 72. Then I count my x's, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, x to the 6th, 1, 2, 3, 4, z to the 4th. All right, last problem. Scan that problem, look for coefficients. I see one coefficient out, that's a 7. I'll put that out front. Then we're going to look for other letters. So I see an m squared, and an m cubed, m. And then an n to the 5th, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and another n. All right, so our final answer, we have a 7 all by itself, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 m's, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 n's. All right, so your first homework assignment, I believe that matches with this, is homework number 1. So please do that homework to practice. Good luck.